if you look at last 3 years, I think the amount of data we produced in the last 3 years is equal to an entire amount of data that we produced in the country for the last 30, maybe from its existence of internet. So it's been a massive growth of data, and our prediction says that it will continue to grow at the faster pace. So data adoption has been incredible, and I think it owes to one that we have technologies in place now. 4G, Wi-Fi is emerging as a pretty common resource, but also that our behavior as users, the social networks and so on, has really helped boom the data. And I mean, last 1 year after Geo launch, I think it has taken it to a next level because it came free, and I think that really proved that there was a hunger for consuming data, and I think all that is a good news for the industry. I think, of course, IoT is convergence of many things. You first need what we call digital networks, digital service providers. You need which I typically divide into 3 layers in the framework. You need connectivity in place because that's what is the foundation for IoT, right? Then you need the platform. That's where you manage the intelligence and analytics of the network, and then you manage the devices that you're connecting through the IoT technology. And I believe it's incredibly important because given the trend in the country, I mean, we are seeing that mobility revenues are in decline or they're flattish. So the connected devices, we're predicting by 2020 there are going to be more than 2 billion connected devices. So that's going to be the source of new revenue. So it's incredibly important. I think now with connectivity in place, with digital networks in place, I think what you will do as an industry is we will connect everything that benefits from a connection. Safe, you're talking about security and surveillance. I think having cameras, micro cameras on the streets, so the road is monitored 24/7, and there are platforms behind which are managing that data is really, really important. I mean, we've seen episodes that happened a couple of years back, and still sporadic incidents happen for the safety of girl, child. I think with this technology in place, I think it obviously provides for that, and I think for India it's very, very important. Yeah, I mean, last 2 days have been really, I really call it India 2.0. Everybody committed to rolling out 4G. I think we were talking about another 500,000 4G base stations, and there was a committee formed on 5G. My sense is 2020 you will see first deployments of 5G in the country, and 5G is a phenomenal technology. It brings in ultra speeds, it brings in low latency, and for a layman, who doesn't understand deep technology, it means when you're consuming high bandwidth services, there's no disruption. You're watching a high bandwidth 4K movie, it will come smooth. Or you are working on a critical application, security application. These networks provide seamless connectivity with speeds, with ultra speeds, with really low latency. I think it's not just that we build the network architecture or put that in place. I think you need to have a security wrapper around this network. In everything we do, from a technology standpoint, security has to be an embedded part of it. I mean, today we are very vulnerable. I think, but you will see security will become as important as putting that basic node of creating data. And I see service providers and enterprises are really focused on that. And from a Cisco standpoint, I think we are opening up our security operations center in Pune, which basically connects all our devices and constantly monitors and does a prevention or a proactive actions of any security things happening, security breaches happening. So I believe it's a very, very important topic and very, very central to our strategy when we're forming the technology. Yeah, so I think first of all, I want to congratulate present government and telecom ministries and associated authorities. I think they've done an incredible job last 3 years in addressing the policy issues that were there, and I think a lot has been done, and there are few more hurdles that are being worked at. So I think what government can do is they can create a pretty smooth policy structure, and then it is the industry, players like us together with service providers and the enterprise and integrators, we have to then rally behind that vision and go execute on it. So, but I mean, compared to last, I would say 10 years, I mean, last 2 years have been phenomenal. Policies around spectrum trading, policies around making spectrum available, because it was a dearth of spectrum 2 years back. Now there's enough spectrum. I mean, a service provider might still complain that it's very expensive, but it's there, right? So I believe we are in a very good era where government policymakers, TRAI, Mr. Sharma is doing incredible jobs. So I think it is, I can tell you, I was presenting in another fora, where my opening statement was, there has been a 360-degree shift in last, not 12 months, last 9 months. If I went and talked to the CXOs of telecom operators, they had it somewhere in the back burner, but they were not thinking about it. Now it's the core strategy they all are talking about. We're talking about virtualizing packet cores, we're talking about virtualizing data centers, we're talking about, even to the extent, discussions on virtualizing the RAN, which is the base stations that you see out there. So my sense is, and my confidence is, that if we fast forward next 5 years, India will be leading the world in this particular domain. That's the pace it's gaining. So I think we as a company are really, I think you probably heard one of my colleagues talk about it. I mean, we are really focused when it comes to automation, cloudification on India, because we know if we produce something here, it is already tested for scale and it's tested for cost points. Wherever we take it in the world, it's going to be a big hit. So cloudification is happening. It's happening very, very fast. That's the short answer. I think with tier ones, we have a pretty strategic partnership. We're moving away from that. We created a box for the West and then we got it to India 2-3 years later. So we are now working in what we call in a co-dev, co-innovation way, where some of the Indian operators are guiding us where to take our technology. So it's a true partnership. I think their needs are immense. Their demands are very high because they want everything to happen so fast, and for such a big scale is really only possible to work in a partnership mode. And I think, so that is the change. It's the co-dev, we call it continuous innovation and continuous development, CICD. So I think that's where it's going. From my sense for India, I mean, if you were asking for any other country, I would have given a different answer. But for India, we are a huge country with a huge, pyramid. Where my sense is that 2G will survive at least another 5 years. Even though it's an old technology, because there are a lot of feature phones still out there that need to be supported. But I mean, in India, as 4 worlds exist, you need to provide for all segments. So my sense is that these technologies will coexist. I think 3G, the only dilemma is that the speed at which they are coming, they don't leave even 3 to 4 years between one technology shift to other. So I think at some point different operators will look at it differently depending on their focus and the segment they are operating in. My sense is there will be huge investment in 4G going forward and ultimately moving it to 5G. I think 2G will eventually sunset, but I will say another 5 to 7 years. And I think so they 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G will coexist, but when 5G comes, maybe from an Indian context, so 3G will take a slow pace. Because as you move forward in Gs, 4G to 5G, the technology becomes more efficient, and particularly 5G technology has number of inherent advantages. You can do network slicing. It is ready for IoT kind of support. So when we talk about moving from connecting people to connecting device or anything that benefits from a connection, you need a technology that's supporting that. So that's my sense that over time, I think a lot of focus on 4G and then eventually 5G. So I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is the skill shift. I represent a technology company. I think technology is moving at a very fast pace, and I think it's available. A lot of stuff we're talking about is available. I think it is to transform the competence of the people. I think that will become a big showstopper if we do not parallelly address that.